The daughter of a flight engineer killed in the Erebus crash says the apology today has lifted a weight she's been shouldering since she was a schoolgirl, worrying her dad may have done something to cause the accident. Virginia Brooks' father, Gordon Brooks, was an Air New Zealand engineer on board Flight 901 40 years ago. Today, the Prime Minister, Jacinda Ardern, issued a wholehearted and wide-reaching apology on behalf of the airline and government for both failures that led to the crash and the way things were handled in the aftermath. Neither had made a full apology before this. Virginia Brooks says to be there today to hear both Air New Zealand and the Prime Minister say sorry was just amazing.
They were enormous. To be honest, it's lifted a weight. I think because, my dad was part of the air crew. He was on deck at the time, flight engineer Gordon Brooks. And, I know my dad. I knew the men he flew with. You know what, they were good at their job. They knew what they were doing. They really loved to fly. But at the same time, when you hear it said that their negligence or their lack of attention to detail has caused this accident, you know what, I was 14 at the time, 15, and it stuck. I worried. I thought, my God, my dad caused the death of all these people. Because I was a teenager, I'm just trying to struggle to understand it. And and I knew that they wouldn't have knowingly done that because I knew how good they were I knew how good they were at what they could do. I knew how much flying meant to them. And of course, when you hear about the whiteout, the wrong coordinates, there is no doubt they were not at fault. But that thing lingers, and to hear this today was actually really emotional and really lifting a weight.
So that weight on your back, it sounds almost like guilt, was it?
I don't know if guilt's the word, but because I really didn't believe, I knew deep down that there's no way that they had contributed to the accident because I knew how conscientious they were, I knew how good they were at their jobs, I know how much they love to fly. I mean, these were old school flight crew that could fly through anything. They could fly blind through whatever, but obviously in this case, they were misled by the coordinates, the wrong coordinates. They were misled by a whiteout, and I think Air New Zealand has to bear some responsibility for not training their crews how to fly in those conditions. So, I don't know if guilt's the word, but I think it's that 14 or 15-year-old me that still thought, oh my God, does my dad have something to do with this? That I just, that still sits there in the back of my mind, I guess. So hearing this today, I think I'm still processing it. It's huge, actually.
So that burden that you carried as a young teenager, I mean, what effect do you think that's had on you over the years? Oh,
I think it caused a lot of shame for a long time. I just didn't tell people who my dad was. I didn't talk about the accident for years after it, probably for quite a few years to people. I didn't tell friends. I didn't tell people because I just didn't want to go there. And I was still trying to figure out what the hell had happened because there was all the controversy over what had caused the accident. And, I was trying to piece together the pieces for myself. So I just didn't talk to people for a long time about it.
So
which isn't great when you're trying to get over grief and people don't understand that you're actually grieving.
So also today, the chair of Air New Zealand apologised too.
How courageous. Huge. Thank you for that. I think it's very meaningful. I never thought I'd hear that, to be honest.
Why not?
Because it's a controversy that's raged on so deep for so long that, and there's so much politics behind the scenes, I just figured that ship had sailed. Putting it bluntly, and I'm so glad that we've had this apology. It's meaningful, and I'm here today, and the other relatives, and I'm seeing the impact of it for other people and what it means, and that's huge.
So, in that room, when these two women issue this apology, gives a feeling for what it was like.
It's a very formal occasion, so. I waited, they said it, and I waited for a minute to see if people were going to, you could hear some tears, you could hear some gasps and tears, but no one started clapping or cheering or anything like that because it wasn't that type of occasion. it was, yeah, I think a bit of a stunned silence as well, and nobody was expecting that, or certainly I wasn't. I don't know if others were, but I wasn't. So it was quite gobsmacking.
It must be pretty bittersweet 40 years on.
Yeah, and I think, yes, good word for it. Yeah.
So your father, Gordon, he was a flight engineer, and
Yes.
you were about, 14, 15 at the time, you say.
14.
Yeah, so his voice was heard on the flight recording, yes?
Yeah, yes.
Tell us about that.
I've never heard it. I've never actually heard the flight recording, but in the transcript I mean, I think it shows Dad's dedication to his job, that he could be counting down the altitude while that plane, in those final moments, because they wouldn't have understood. They didn't know that they were about to hit a mountain. And you just hear their procedural, on that black box, you hear them going through procedure. They're hearing the whoop, whoop, pull up, pretty loud when you're in the cabin. And they would have, because they were good at what they did, they're reacting to procedure, and that's what you hear on the black box in those last moments.
Your dad doing his job right till the end.
Yeah, right till the end. And probably thinking, what the hell? Because their eyes are telling them one thing and their instruments are telling them something else. They would have been thoroughly confused, I think, in that moment as to what the heck was going on. And whether they ever got a chance to comprehend. I mean, they died so quickly. So whether they ever got a chance to comprehend, probably not.
Does today change anything for you?
Yeah, that I can feel that tangible lifting of a bit of weight, and it's just amazing, actually.
And that was Virginia Brooks. Her father, Gordon Brooks, was on the Air New Zealand Flight 901 that crashed in Erebus, killing all on board 40 years ago. She welcomes that apologies today from the Prime Minister and Air New Zealand.